Welcome to Nest in the Kitchen, to your weekly chat. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. I know I am somewhere different this time. I am coming to you straight from Accra, Ghana, in West Africa, not South Africa. Oh my gosh, West Africa. I'm on vacay and I am enjoying every moment. Now, I've been posting a lot of different short videos and clips of my adventures and in the city that I'm exploring, just giving you a sense of where I'm at. But then I thought, it's Wednesday. I cannot not have a chat. We're supposed to have a nurse chat. So I was thinking about what I know the light is just a little bit off. So I have to keep my iPad lit so we can have some light. Um, I was thinking, with all the experiences I'm having, what I could talk about today to you that could be of value to you. So I thought maybe I can talk about overcoming fear, right? Because I have flown 10 and a half, 13 hours to get here alone. A lot of people are not comfortable traveling alone that far alone. And I think a lot of that has to do with fear. What are you afraid of? That you're going to be alone, that you may not know what to do, you may not be able to find information. Come on. Those are excuses, right? So let's talk about fear. The series that we want, everything I want to talk about has to do with resetting and self-improvement and making us better than we were. A new you, a new me. And I think fear is a big part of it because it kind of stops you from moving forward. So how could I describe fear? And I don't have a dictionary in front of me. I don't have a Webster. But I think fear is an emotion that holds you back. In simple terms, right? It holds you back from doing things that you might enjoy, things that you can't predict the outcome, right? Things that make you uncomfortable. So this is what fear is. It just stops you. It's an emotion. And like any emotion, you can overcome it by getting your mind straight, because your mind controls your emotion, your mind controls your action. So if you get your mind straight, right, you can control the things that you're feeling, how you act upon certain things. So if you want to take inventory, can you think of some things that you are afraid of? For me, it would be snakes, critters, roaches, frogs that hop, critters, slimy things, height. Now, I have a chance to overcome one of my fears this weekend. I am going on a tour, and there is a thing that is suspended over, I don't know, some wooden areas, and you're supposed to walk over. Now, please don't hold me to it. I'm going to try my best, but I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. I'm scared of height. And if I'm walking over a bridge, I have to keep my head straight, so I don't look to the right, look to the left. So maybe if I find somebody who can just hold my hand, I can just close my eyes and just step, step, step. I can't do it. Oh my God. That is so embarrassing. So what are some other things that I am afraid of? I can't think of a lot of things that I'm afraid of. I'm a pretty bold person. I take risks when people tell me, no, it's not a good decision. And I'm like, I want to try it anyway. Fear of failure. I have failed at many things. It's not just the agency. I've just failed at something else. So I'm just going to brush myself off and do it again. Do something else. Fear of being alone. I have decided already in my head that if this is it, if I never get into another relationship, I'm going to be perfectly fine. See that? I switch gear. I switch my mind. Whereas I'm not going to be sitting and saying, oh my God, what's going to happen if I'm alone? Oh, what's going to happen when I grow old? So I am preparing for that. I am trying to take steps to counteract the effect of being alone as you get older. That's called planning. Remember we talked about earlier about planning. So, afraid of if you travel to another country that there could be some unrest. That is a fear. But should that keep you from visiting? If you know they have active whatever going on, that's different. But just on the fear of something, like I'm deathly afraid of mosquitoes. But here I am in Ghana. I went somewhere today and people are telling me that malaria is a big thing. And this girl is like, I've been here 2 or 3 years and I've had malaria 5 times. And I'm thinking, oh, gosh, why would you want to put yourself through all that? But she also stepped out of her fear and just said, I'm going to Africa, right? So do an inventory. Write down what you think your worst fears are. Is it fear of relationship? Is it fear of moving from one job to the next, going into the unknown? It is the fear of traveling. Is it fear of making new friends? Is it fear of people saying bad things about you? That one, you got to let it go really quick because somebody somewhere is always going to say something about you. You can't control that. You can only control you. Okay? So how do you overcome? Once you get your inventory, you got your list. Maybe you want to start with the smallest one. If it's like fear of, I don't know, snakes. That may not be a small one. That might be a big one. You might kind of condition yourself that next time you see a snake, you're not going to freak out. You're going to take a deep breath and you're going to maybe stare at it and maybe get a broom and shoo it away, something like that. You start with something small. Fear of travel, you could start traveling nationally, locally, regionally. Just do small steps. If you are in a relationship, you're married and you don't have a career and you totally depend on this person, and that's how abuse, it feeds into abuse when you have a partner who controls the other one and makes them feel like they're totally dependent on them. That is not a good place to be. You need to be your own person, have your own money, have your own goals, your own career, your own thoughts. You cannot allow another human being to control what you do, what you think, what you say, what you do. Now, that's not what marriage is supposed to be. Well, maybe that's why I'm not married. But marriage is a partnership. You cannot have somebody control you 100%. Bad idea. No bueno. No. So take those small steps to do the things that kind of make you a little bit uncomfortable. You don't have to be someone like me who's just gonna say, oh, I'm gonna go for it. Some of us are wired that way. It's a lot easier for us, and some of us are not so wired. And we're not saying that all of us should be the same. We're not. So we just have to, like for me, knowing that I'm not wired that way, I have to be careful not to be too impulsive, right? And then say, okay, I'm going to do this. Make sure I do my homework and think about it, which, I try to do. So, now that you know how you're going to overcome your fear, I can tell you about my travel. I am not afraid. I'm afraid of flying, with a caveat, not of flying. I'm afraid of disturbances up in the air. Yes. And longer trips as I'm getting older are getting a little bit more unnerving, right? So if I'm going to New York, I know it's like 3 hours. Maybe mentally I'm ready. But this trip, I had a 2.5 hour flight to Washington, D.C., and then a 10.5 hour flight over the Atlantic Ocean. So my goal in my mind was I'm gonna pop a couple of Benadryl and I'm going to go to sleep, because like when you go to Europe, those are overnight flights, so that when you get the next day, it's morning wherever you're going. I did not. Well, I packed the Benadryl, but it was in my suitcase. It wasn't with me, so it was like okay. But I was blessed that the flight, very, very little disturbance. We didn't get into a storm. We didn't have, that's when the plane kind of drops and all your inside drop with it. That's the way it feels to me. So, but no, I didn't have all that. So now you're thinking, and everybody tells me, oh, be careful, be careful. Like I'm going to get eaten by some wild animals here, Those of us who are discovering Africa are really getting irritated when people think of this continent as a wild place that is dangerous. You need to come and see for yourself. It's a beautiful country. I mean, the continent, we have 54 countries on the continent, right? So that's a lot of different people. If you hear something happening in one place, it doesn't necessarily mean it's happening all over the continent. I mean, that's a lot of land. That's a lot of, square miles and surface areas, okay? So don't say things like that make people feel like you don't know what you're talking about. So I came here. I don't know anybody. I mean, I have made contacts through some Facebook groups, but how secure are those? I rented my little Airbnb. God has blessed me with a wonderful lady who is she's a baller. She just she's a go-getter. So I relate to that. So I'm in a good place. I had to figure out transportation. I know they had Uber, but now I found they have both, which is cheaper, and I feel really safe. In the U.S., I used Uber for the first time to take me to the airport, and I was blessed that when the driver came, he started saying, "Do you need help?" And I said, "Haitian?" He was Haitian, so we started talking. We had a connection, so I felt safe. But that was the one time. I always feel like I'm not gonna get into a stranger's car and go, right? Because you hear sometimes weird stuff about Uber. But then again, it's just all about the attitude, the openness to the culture, the openness to the people, the openness to things around you. It gives you a more of a sense of empathy when you see people who are just struggling every single day just to make it day by day by day. They're not thinking about when I grow old. They're not thinking about what's going to happen in 10 years. They're living in the here and now because it's a daily struggle to survive. Maybe that's why they're not so concerned with not wearing a mask, not, their political rights and all this stuff being violated. They're just too busy existing, right? So I am taking it all in, and I'm already an empathetic person, but I'm getting a higher dose of that. And how respectful these people are here, how respectful they are, calling me auntie, madame. I love that, just to set foot on the soil where my ancestors were taken, and to go to those dungeons and see where I know I'm going to be crying my eyes out. But I'm looking forward to the experience because I think every people of color should do that. So overcome your fear. Don't think the worst about this continent, about how dangerous it is. Let me tell you, this is your home. That's where your great parents came from. But I know some of you don't want to hear it, and that's okay. We're not having an argument about that. But I'm having a wonderful time. I just wanted to chat, and I love you. God loves you. Au revoir, à la prochaine.